Hi and welcome back to my channel. We are going to be making a mini album that is 4 7/8 by 5 by 1.5 inches. We are going to be using Let's Get Artsy. We're going to need some ink. I'm using marine blue and classic black. We're going to need some ephemera, and these are the tags and frames. I'm going to be using the 8x8 collection pack of Let's Get Artsy. You're also going to need the 12x12 patterns and solids. You're going to take one sheet of your patterns and solids and cut two pieces 6 by 12 inches. You're going to need some chipboard. I'm going to be using Graphic 45 black chipboard. You're going to cut your chipboard. You're going to cut two pieces 5 by 4 7/8. Then you're going to cut your spine at 4 7/8 by 1.5. You're also going to need some black cardstock. I cut my cardstock at 4 5/8 by 4 3/4. I cut 4 of them. And then I cut black cardstock at 5 3/4 by 4 5/8. And on the 5 3/4 side, I scored at 5 1/4 and 1/2 inch. And I cut 4 of these. And I scored all of them in the same. And then for the hinges, I'm going to be doing the stack the deck hinges. And I cut up some scrap paper from Let's Get Artsy. I cut it at 2 3/4 by 4 3/4, and I scored it 3/4 and 2 inches. And then I cut another one at 2 3/8 by 4 3/4, and I scored it 3/4 and 1 5/8. Then you'll also need some paper crafting tools and some score tape. So to begin with, I'm going to take my two 6 by 12s. I'm going to grab my score tape. And put it along one edge. Then I'm going to put glue about 1/2 inch in. Make sure that my wording's the right direction. Line these up. Add my other piece right on top. Burnish down. So then I'm going to grab my chipboard. I'm going to take my spine. I'm going to put glue along the back. And I'm going to place it right on my seam, centering it. Then I'm going to make sure that I have the 4 7/8 side against this side of the spine. And I'm going to apply glue. I have two little pieces of chipboard glued together that I usually will put there to make sure that I stay evenly spaced. Lining up your top and bottom. Leaving a good little alley. Then you're going to apply glue to the other larger piece of chipboard. I'm going to move my little alley keeper over. Line them up. burnish down. I like to score along my chipboard. Grab your paper trimmer. I'm just going to trim this down about an inch from the chipboard. Same on this side, about an inch from the chipboard. Bend your paper. Then you want to clip your corners. You want to apply glue or score tape. So then I'm going to grab some ink. I'm just going to ink around. Okay, from our scraps we cut off of the side of our pattern paper, we are going to cut a 4 3/4 by 3 5/8 piece of scrap paper. That's going to cover our chipboard in the middle. I'm going to just ink the top and bottom of mine. Apply glue. So you want to evenly place this over your spine, centering between the top and bottom of your book. Burnish it down. And you want to score in between your two pieces of chipboard. And do the other side. Then you want to grab your ink. You want to ink the outside. So now we're going to grab our hinges. I like to put score tape on my little flaps first. Don't forget to miter your corners on your hinges. So then I'm going to add some in between the two score lines. And on this one, in between the two score lines. So you're going to take your skinnier one, and I like to fold on my score lines. Then I'm going to take the center score tape off of the smaller one. I'm going to add some glue. Then I'm going to center it on my larger one. Burnish down. So now we have our hinges made. We're going to take the backing off of the last middle part. Apply glue. And you're going to center these on your book. I like to go ahead and kind of ink mine to blend it. Okay, so next you're going to grab your cardstock pieces. You're going to fold the hinges up. You're going to put glue all the way up to the score line. Then you want to line your paper with no hinges up on top of your hinged paper. Gluing them together. There's one page. So you want to grab another hinged page, fold the hinges, grab a page with no hinges, apply glue to one hinge, glue your other hinge. You're going to do all 4 pages that way. So now I have all 4 of my pages ready for my book. So to add these in, you're going to remove the backing from your double-sided tape. I always add some glue. I turn mine sideways and I grab a page. I slide it on the hinge, keeping it about 1/8 inch from the score line. I like to lay my pages down and make sure they're even before I press them down. Then I just push them down. You just do the same thing on your other 3 hinges. So that is my base. So now we are going to decorate the pages. Okay, then we're going to grab a piece of Patterns and Solids 12 by 12 paper, and we're going to cut 4 3/4 by 7 1/2, and on the 7 1/2 side we're going to score at 4 7/8. Then we're going to cut a 4 1/2 by 4 5/8. Then we're going to cut a pocket. It's 2 1/4 by 5 3/4. We're going to score on the 5 3/4 side at 1/2 inch and 5 1/4. Then we're going to rotate our paper and score it a 1/2 inch. Then you're going to cut a 1 1/4 by 4 3/4. And if you have a paper punch, you can use a paper punch or just leave it plain. Then from the collection pack, we're going to cut this strip out. And from this page, we're going to cut this little image out, and this one also. Then we're just going to trim a piece of black paper, leaving a little frame around it, and then another piece of Let's Get Artsy scrap paper, leaving a little frame. Then we're going to ink them. Then we're going to grab our book. We're going to open to the inside cover. We're going to grab our 4 3/4 by 7 1/2. We're going to grab our decorative strip. We're going to add glue. Then we're going to center it. Then we're going to take our little image, our black paper, and our other piece of pattern paper. On the black one, I'm just going to put glue at the top and bottom. Going to center that on my pattern paper. And then I'm going to put some foam dots on the back. Then I'm just going to put glue on the top and bottom here. I'm going to center it down here. So then I could either put this under the black piece of paper or the colored. It will be what holds my flap shut. I'm scoring it at 3.5. And then I'm just going to leave about a 1/2 inch. I'm going to put some glue on that little hinge. Gonna put my little closure inside and then push the tab down that I put glue on. Then I'm going to apply glue to the back. So then we're going to grab our book and we're going to center this on our front inside cover. You want to burnish down. Now we're going to work on page 1. So you want to grab your 4.5 by 4 5/8. And you want to grab your pocket. And I'm just going to slide so the little tabs are on the back side of my paper. Then I'm going to glue them down. Then apply glue to the back of your paper. Then I'm going to put it right on top of page 1, centering it. Then I'm going to take that scrap from our little closure. I'm just going to cut along the lines and separate these. And I'm just going to cut them shorter. Cut a little triangle out at the bottom. Then I'm going to ink them. So then I'm going to put a little glue at the top and bottom. So it looks like that. And I'm going to apply glue. Burnish down. I decided to add a pocket to this flap. So you're going to cut a 2 5/8 by 4 5/8 piece of black cardstock. And that is going to go right on this little flap, leaving a little border. So leave a little gap at the top. Apply glue. I'm going to center this, burnish down. Then I cut a 3 by 4 1/2. I scored on the 3-inch side at 1/2 inch, and I mitered my corners and inked. So I'm going to grab some score tape. I'm going to put score tape along the 2 shorter sides. Put some on my hinge too. Remove your score tape backing. I'm going to apply a little glue. Then I'm going to center it on my black piece. Then I cut some tags with the Graphic 45 ATC tag die. And I used these stamps and did a little stamping on them. These will just slide in my little pocket. And I cut this journaling card from the paper collection. So then my page just opens. So then for this page, I cut 2 pieces of cardstock at 4 1/4 by 4 1/2. I did some stamping on them. Journaling card in the pocket. I have this butterfly I stamped with the stamp set. I heat embossed and then I used watercolors. I'm just going to add some glue and place it on my page. So now we're finished with the inside cover and page 1. We're going to work on page 2 and 3. So you're going to grab some pattern paper. This one is the Patterns and Solids. And you're going to cut 2 at 4 1/2 by 4 5/8. And then this is a journaling card from the paper collection. And I just cut a little hinge and added it on. I've inked everything. So we're going to add glue to our hinge. We're going to center our hinge and glue it down. I'm going to glue this down to page 3. Burnish down. Then I'm going to grab the other pattern paper. I'm going to glue this down on page 2, centering it. Burnish down. So I'm going to flip to page 4. For page 4, you're going to cut a piece of pattern paper at 4 5/8 by 9 1/4. You're going to score on the 9 1/4 side at 2 1/2 and 7. Then from pattern paper, you're going to cut a 2 1/2 by 3-inch piece. And from black cardstock, you're going to cut a 2 5/8 by 3 1/8, a 2.5 by 3 3/8, and then you're going to cut 2 that are 4 1/8 by 4 7/8. You're going to score on the 4 7/8 side at 4 3/8 on both. Then you want to ink everything. I cut these from the paper collection, and I scored this at 2 1/4, and these were in the tags and frame. So to start with, you're going to take your 2.5 by 3 3/8 piece of black cardstock. You're going to take your little image. Then I'm just going to put glue on the top and bottom, not on the shorter sides. And I'm going to center it on my black cardstock, burnishing down where I put glue. And I'm going to make sure my writing is the direction I wanted, or your images. And then from the tags and frames, I'm going to take this piece. I'm just going to eyeball about half. Cut it in half. I'm going to put a little glue on the back. I'm going to put it on my right flap, about an 1/8 inch down, centered. I'm going to grab the other half, and I'm going to put it about 1/8 inch from the bottom, lining the two up. Then I'm going to take my image, and I'm going to make sure this one's folded down and this one's on top. And I'm just going to center it kind of where I want it, and hold where I do not want glue. So I don't want glue on this side. I'm going to glue it down. Burnish down. Then I'm going to take this little piece, and where I scored it, I'm just going to cut right in between those pictures. I'm going to apply glue to that little hinge. Then I want to close up my page, slide that under, center it where I want it, and push it all the way to the hinge, meets my paper. Burnish down on my hinge. So then I'm going to unbuckle my page, and I'm going to grab this frame. I want to line it up on top of this flap with my photo. Then I'm just going to put some light marks of where my frame will go. So where it overlaps this flap, I'm just going to hold with my finger so I know not to put glue anywhere on this side. So I'm going to put it around the outer edge on the side that'll glue to the flap. Then I'm going to line it up on my pencil markings. Burnish it down. Then I'm going to open my flap. And I'm going to grab this 2 5/8 by 3 1/8 piece of black cardstock. And I'm going to only put some glue along the top and the bottom and the right side. So where I did not put glue will go towards this side of the frame. You just want to kind of center it. Burnish down where you put glue. Then I'm going to take this 2.5 by 3 piece of pattern paper. I'm going to apply glue to the back. Then I'm going to center it on my black piece of cardstock. And slide the image into the little frame pocket. So it looks like that. Then you're going to grab your 2 pieces of black cardstock with the little hinges on them. You're going to put glue on your hinge. Then fold your hinge over your pattern paper and glue down. Same on the other one. Except for you're going to put this one on the bottom. So line up your 2 pieces of cardstock, glue your hinge on the bottom. That way you have a hinge on top and a hinge on bottom. So now you have room for some extra photos. Now I'm going to apply glue. Then I'm going to glue this to page 4. Centering it. Burnish down. So for this little piece here, I just grabbed a piece of scrap paper and trimmed it down to fit, leaving a little frame around it. So now we're ready for page 5. And I cut a piece of Patterns and Solids at 4.5 by 4 5/8. So I'm going to apply glue to the back. I'm going to center it on page 5. So I have this frame from the Let's Get Artsy Tags and Frames assortment. So for the frame, I'm going to keep my fingers on this side, and I'm just going to put glue along the top, this side, and the bottom. Then I'm going to center my frame on top of my pattern paper. I'm going to burnish down where I put glue. And then I have a piece of pattern paper that I cut at 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And I have this image from the Tags and Frames assortment. So I'm going to slide that photo mat in my frame. Then I'm going to make sure that I slide this under the photo mat, lining it up with the edge, just slightly past the edge. And I'm going to burnish down. That's my photo mat. Then I'm going to take this little tag. I'm just going to put a little glue on my frame and a little bit on this side. So for page 6 and 7, you're going to cut 2 pieces of pattern paper at 4 5/8 by 3 1/2. Then you're going to cut 2 pieces at 7/8 by 4 5/8. And then these were from the paper collection, and I put little hinges on them. So I've inked all of these. I'm going to apply glue to the back. Adhere it down. Centering it. Center this one on this side. And we're going to take our two little strips and our little hinged pieces of ephemera. I'm going to put this one about right there. So I'm going to put glue on the back of my hinge. Then I'm going to put glue on this strip. And I'm going to center it on this little black section of cardstock. So now I have a little flap that opens. I do the same thing on this side. I'm going to glue it about right there. So I'm going to put glue on my hinge. And then I'm going to put glue on this strip of paper. Center it on my black cardstock page. So those two pages are done. For page 8, you're going to cut a piece of pattern paper at 3 4 5/8. Then you're going to cut a strip that is 1 3/8 by 4 5/8. And I will also be using this ephemera card from Tags and Frames. I've inked them all. So you're going to put glue on the back of your bigger piece. Center it on the left side of your page. And I'm going to take the strip, apply glue, and I'm going to take this little ephemera tag. I'm going to put a little score tape on the bottom. Add just a little bit of glue. And I'm going to center that at the bottom of my page. That way it's a little tuck spot. Now we're ready for the back cover. You're going to grab a piece of pattern paper and you're going to cut it at 4 3/4 by 4 7/8. Then this is from the Let's Get Artsy Tags and Frames. I used the stamp set and I put acetate covering my frame, and then I stamped right on the acetate. Then I added some hinges and score tape at the bottom. So you're going to grab your larger piece. You're going to center it on your back Then you're going to take your frame. You're going to remove the backing of your double-sided tape. Add some glue to your hinges. A little glue to your score tape. For this to fit my page, I did have to trim off the little squares that stuck off. And I'm just going to center this on my back cover. And that will leave a nice little pocket. Now just, you can slide little things in the pocket. Same with here. Okay, so I grabbed the ephemera assortment and tags and frames. And I cut these two of the smaller tags, the ATC tags. I have a butterfly from the ephemera pack. I'm just going to put a little glue around the circle. And glue the butterfly right on top. It's going to go in that pocket. This is a little journaling card. And I have another tag. I'm going to put a little glue around the circle. Just going to put a little butterfly I made right here. And I'm going to grab some Graphic 45 matte pearl gems. I'm going to add a medium black one to the little hole in that tag. I do the same on this, covering the little hole with the black pearl gem. So we're going to work on the cover. I cut a strip of paper that is 2 3/4 by 4 7/8. I added double-sided tape to each side. For what I'm making this book for, I need to keep everything on the cover very flat. So I'm going to add one of these to the front cover and one to the back cover. So to start with, going to remove one side of your double-sided tape, add some glue. You're going to center this about a 1/4 inch down. I'll burnish down. I'm going to let that dry a little bit. And I'm going to grab my first image, add some glue, and I'm just going to put this right on the front. So I'm going to turn my book over. Add some glue. Then you're going to bend this around, going about a 1/4 inch in. So now it's just bubbled up just a very little bit. I turn my book over. I'm going to add him on the back of my book where I feel like I like him. grab one of the butterflies from the ephemera assortment. Just bent it a little, add some glue. I'm just going to add that on. And I made a few more butterflies. Just going to add that on. And that is my little Let's Get Artsy mini album.